All right guys, so obviously there is a lot of buzz going on about this whole National Association of Realtors settlement. So nothing's set in stone yet. This is very new, but I'm gonna give you my best rundown as to what I believe is going to happen come July of this year, based on what I've read, what I've seen, what I've watched, and what I've heard. So what is it? I'm gonna read this directly off of my laptop. In February of 2024, Andrea Freeland filed a lawsuit against NAR, the California Association of Realtors, and Redfin, alleging that the three organizations conspired to artificially inflate agent commissions. So in November of 2023, a jury found that NAR, Keller Williams, and Home Services of America conspired to keep real estate commissions higher than needed. The jury ruled that the defendants should eliminate decades-old rules on commission, making it easier for buyers to negotiate fees with their own agents or use no agents at all. This settlement calls for $418 million and resolves claims against more than 1 million members, state and local realtor associations, and most smaller brokerages. So really what that means is there is a group of people who are suing big real estate corporations for conspiring to basically be a monopoly to keep real estate commissions high so real estate agents can get paid more than what they're really deserved. Now, in a lot of ways, I'm excited for this, not only for realtors, but for home sellers and buyers as well, because it'll give them more of a chance to have negotiating power options rather than this current model of rigidity. So I'll give you a rundown of how it currently works. There's a seller, a home seller, and a listing agent. They meet, they decide to work together. This seller decides to hire this agent to list their home and represent them in the sale of their home. Now, when they get together and decide to work together, this listing agent, this realtor, is going to negotiate with this seller what this agent wants to get compensated for representing this seller in the sale of their home. Now, usually what it comes down to is it ends up being 5 or 6% commission. So for the sake of this video, we're going to say it's going to be 6% because that is the industry standard currently. Now, in that 6%, there is the listing agent, there's their compensation, but there's also the compensation that is automatically embedded in there for the buyer's agent that brings a buyer who actually purchases the home. So for the listing agent, it's usually around 3 to 3.5% of the 6%. For the buyer's agent, it's usually 2.5 to 3% of that commission that goes to them. And those two together make that 6% commission. Now, what's supposedly and most likely going to happen is these commissions are going to be decoupled. Let's go back to the first example. The seller and the listing agent, they meet, decide to work together, and here we are now negotiating on what the compensation is going to be. So instead of saying, hey, the total commission is going to be 6%, they're going to say, hey, my commission, my professional fee, my side of the compensation is going to be blank, probably around 3%. So let's say they agree on that. Hey, you yourself, you listing agent, are going to get paid 3% for representing me, the seller, in the sale of my home. Now, here's where things kind of go up in the air, is when we start talking about how the buyer's agent who brings the buyer is going to get compensated. Now, there's a lot of buzz about buyer's agents actually going away. In that case, buyers who are looking to purchase a home, they go on the market because, as we know, there's plenty of resources out there for you buyers who are looking to purchase a home. There's Zillow, Redfin. In some cases, you can get access to the MLS. There's all the facts and features. In all honesty, do not need us realtors to find a home. Really, all we're doing is providing that deeper insight into the information that you have, writing up the offer, negotiation skills, and then management skills of the actual transaction. So what may happen is we may go away. And as a buyer, what you would do is go to the listing agent who is representing this seller for their house. You would go directly to them and say, hey, listing agent, can you write me an offer for this price with these terms for your seller's home? Now, I can only assume in this situation, the listing agent would represent you in writing an offer, but they would not be your fiduciary. So they would not be acting in your best interests as a buyer. They would still be the fiduciary and acting in the best interests of their seller. In that case, they're just really there to handle writing the offer for you, so it's all written up correctly for their seller. What could also happen is that only agents within one brokerage can do business with one another. So let's say here's the listing agent, here's the seller, they put the home on the market, Either the buyer has to go directly to that listing agent to write their offer up for the seller, or that buyer has to go to an agent in the same brokerage as that listing agent to then represent them, write up the offer, yada yada. So that's a possibility kind of branched off of that first example. So let's say buyer's agents are still stay a thing, and there's still buyers out there looking to find real estate agents to represent them, to write offers, to be their fiduciary, and all the above. In this case, what's really gonna happen is that 2.5% to 3% that's usually automatically given to a buyer's agent, as we talked about in the beginning of the video, is going to be tossed up in the air and left to negotiation. Whether that's between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, the seller and the buyer's agent, the seller and the buyer, somewhere in between, it's really going to be up in the air as to how, when, how much, why that buyer's agent is going to be compensated. So what could happen is the buyer and their agent could ask for seller concessions back after closing to help compensate the buyer's broker. Some agents may just decide to create some sort of flat fee for buyers when working together. So let's say $5,000. Hey, whatever house you buy, wherever it is, however long it takes, you are going to pay me $5,000. Some may end up splitting the commission with the seller and through the buyer and the seller. Maybe some of it comes out of the seller's commission beforehand and cuts into the buyer's commission. Honestly, when it comes to all of that, that's as best as I can get. It's really gonna be left up in the air to negotiation between the buyer and their agent and the seller and their agent as to what that buyer's agent is going to be compensated. So overall, what we're really looking at is a decoupling of that 6% commission into 2 separate commissions. Even though that's how it's been already, it's just going to be worded different, disclosed different, and negotiated different. Now, like I mentioned, this is all speculative. There's no clear, certain answers yet. We'll be probably seeing some clear and certain answers come July of this year, but until then, it's all up in the air. Now, something I like to tell myself is this: the only constant in life is change. So sellers, buyers, real estate agents, listing agents, buyer's agents, there's nothing to fear. This is simply the way of the world. This is how nature works. Things change, we grow old, we live, we die. Seasons change, weather changes, the temperature changes, it goes from day to night. Businesses change, mindsets change, society changes. This is just one of those things. So instead of being scared and thinking of this as something to fear, think of this as exciting and an opportunity to better represent our clients and possibly make even more money as real estate agents. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below on whatever platform you're watching this video on. If you are a real estate agent and you want to connect, shoot me a comment, shoot me a DM. I love to connect with you, see what your strategies are, see how you plan to move forward through this upcoming change. And as always, if you are a buyer or a seller of property here in the United States of America, please go to my bio on Instagram, click on the 2-minute Homebuyer or Homeseller Quiz, fill that out to the best of your ability. I'll reach out from there and we'll get started. Talk soon.